I'd like to extend a sincere and warm welcome to all of you this afternoon. My name is Lloyd, and I have been a member here at Charles Hastings for 11 years. And before we continue on, I would like to, first of all, do our land acknowledgement of the legacy that we have inherited here at Charles Hastings Co-op. We acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit and Métis peoples. We acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. We have just completed a tour of Charles Hastings Co-op and a few of the units and so on. But Charles Hastings Co-op is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year. We were established in 1984, and we have a very diverse and community of families, singles, couples, so on here in the building. We have a very wide-ranging opportunities for contributing to the life and well-being of the community itself. And we have always been very much aware of what it is it takes to build community and to do it well. In my case in particular, my wife and I decided that we would move here, had the opportunity 13 years ago to come to Charles Hastings. We had already established several members here who were friends of ours and who in some ways, how shall we say, did this promotion right away. And as it turned out, because my wife and I were very interested in the cultural life of Toronto, Charles Hastings happens to be right in the center of it. And between baseball games, hockey games, theater, and all the other kinds of cultural opportunities that we have here, it's the perfect place to be for us. One of the other selling points was obviously its affordability. And when we made our move from North Toronto, it was one of the special operating decisions that we had to make in order to make our move here. Before we continue here, I'd like to just take this opportunity, and I'm very pleased to introduce and be joined by the Honourable Chrystia Freeland, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, and on behalf of the Government of Canada, as well as the Honourable Kamal Khera, Minister of Diversity, Inclusion, and Persons with Disabilities, for today's important announcement about cooperative housing.
Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you very much, Lloyd, for that introduction. I am so happy to be here. I'm happy to be here in Toronto. I'm happy to be here in the amazing community I have the privilege to represent as a member of Parliament. And I am really happy to be here at the Charles Hastings Co-op. This is a beautiful, beautiful place, an amazing, warm community that provides housing and truly a home to all of the 125 members who live here. This is a really special day for me, and it's a special announcement for me because my family is a co-op family. My late mother, together with one of my aunts, co-founded the Hromada Housing Co-op in Edmonton, where my aunt and uncle still live. And I want to say to all the wonderful people of Hromada Housing Co-op, Hromada means community in Ukrainian, and to all of the wonderful people of the Charles Hastings Co-op and all the wonderful co-op members across Canada, thank you so much. And thank you for the work you do to build such vibrant, warm, welcoming communities. Co-ops, of course, are about providing housing and, as Lloyd said, providing affordable housing. But they are so much more. They are also about building and creating true communities in which all the members take care of each other. And that's what we've seen on our tour of this amazing co-op today. And it takes hard work. So truly thank you very, very much to everyone across Canada who serves on the boards of their co-ops and works so hard to make them the vibrant, welcoming communities that they are. We had a chance to see some of the ways that the Charles Hastings Co-op is truly a community today. Christopher, who is kind of my counterpart, he's like the finance minister of the co-op, is also the Minister of Agriculture. He's in charge of the garden. And he showed us around the truly beautiful award-winning garden on the rooftop. And then Ellen and Christine were kind enough to welcome us into their truly beautiful, light-filled homes. The co-op, and I am told Lloyd was the guy who organized this, has had its own internal infrastructure upgrade with new kitchens and bathrooms. We saw those. And, you know, I think the thing that was the most moving for me was Christine telling me how much she loves having a place where she can welcome first her grandchildren and now her great-grandchildren. Beautiful pictures of them around the apartment, a beautiful drawing on the fridge, a place where the kids can play. And her family knows, she told me, that living here, she really is living in a community that cares for her. So that's really a central strength of co-ops, and why I am so glad that we are able today to make an announcement about further support from the government for co-ops so we can have even more great communities like this one built across the country. Before I go into the details, though, I want to highlight some good economic news, which is also good news for people who want to build new co-ops. And that is that yesterday, the Bank of Canada lowered interest rates. A truly, truly welcome moment for Canada and for all Canadians. Our government has an economically responsible plan. We've been working hard to create the economic conditions that would make it possible for the bank to take this big step yesterday and lower rates. And that's why yesterday was such an important moment. We saw the fruit of all of our hard work. Canada yesterday was the first country in the G7 to lower interest rates. And this is the first time that rates have moved down in more than 4 years. I know how welcome the news is to everyone across the country, including people who want to build more co-ops, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And this shows that our economic plan is working and delivering for Canadians. What I want to talk about today is that plan and our plan to make housing more affordable for every generation of Canadians, including millennials and Gen Z. Notre budget vise à offrir une chance équitable à chaque génération. Il s'agit de faire un Canada qui fonctionne mieux pour tout le monde. C'est pourquoi nous agissons avec résolution pour construire près de 4 millions de logements supplémentaires. Nous réduisons le coût de la vie et nous favorisons le type de croissance économique qui permettra à toutes les générations de Canadiennes et Canadiennes de réaliser leur plein potentiel et de se bâtir une bonne vie au sein de la classe moyenne. One of the biggest pressures facing Canadians right now is housing. And we know that this is especially true for younger Canadians. Faced with a shortage of housing options, high rent, high home prices, many younger Canadians feel that the dream of home ownership is just that, a dream. Our government is changing that. We won't leave you behind. Our April budget launched a no-holds-barred plan to wrestle down the costs of owning or renting a home. We're doing that by investing in supply, supply, supply. Because we know Canada needs more homes and Canada needs more affordable homes. We're investing billions of dollars to support affordable housing providers, to repair existing affordable homes, and to build new ones through programs such as the $15 billion Affordable Housing Fund. Today's announcement builds on that important work. So, today, we are launching a new $1.5 billion cooperative housing development program to build a new generation of co-op housing across Canada. The program will provide loans and contributions to help build new co-ops like this wonderful community and to maintain existing co-op housing. This is the largest investment in co-op housing in the last 3 decades and will fund thousands of new co-op units by 2028. This is important and necessary, and it builds on other measures put in place by our government since 2015. Nous soutenons aussi les locataires. Ils sont confrontés à des loyers qui montent en flèche, à des rénovations, à une concurrence déloyale et à un manque d'options. C'est pourquoi nous lançons un nouveau fonds de protection de locataires d'une valeur de 15 millions de dollars. Ce fonds apporterait un financement à des organisations d'aide juridique et de défense des droits des locataires. Nous mettons également en place une charte canadienne des droits des locataires qui exigera des propriétaires qu'ils fournissent une histoire claire des loyers d'un appartement et qui va servir contre les rénovations. Et nous faisons en sorte que la cote de crédit des locataires tienne compte des paiements de loyer effectués à temps. C'est pourquoi nous allons modifier la charte hypothécaire canadienne et demander aux propriétaires, aux banques, aux agences d'évaluation du crédit et aux entreprises de technologie financière de veiller à ce que votre cote de crédit tienne compte de vos antécédents locatifs. And for those who want to own a home, we're making it easier to save for a down payment. We know that's one of the biggest hurdles to home ownership. Last year, we launched the tax-free First Home Savings Account to help you save up to $40,000 tax-free towards your first home. It's tax-free in, tax-free out, and more than 750,000 Canadians have already signed up. At the same time, we're increasing the amount of your RRSP you can put towards a down payment with a new home buyer's plan limit of $60,000. Our plan for fairness is about unlocking the door to the middle class for millions of younger Canadians. It's a plan to build a Canada that works better for you, where you can get ahead, where your hard work pays off, and where you can realize the promise of our great country and have a fair chance at a middle-class life. And it is a plan to build more wonderful co-ops that provide affordable housing and, above all, are a place where people can build a wonderful community like this terrific co-op that we're at today. So I'm really, really glad that we're able to make this announcement. I'd like to thank everyone at the Charles Hastings Co-op for welcoming us here so warmly, for working so hard to build this community and for being so enthusiastic about talking to Canadians about it. And now I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Kamal.
Well, thank you so much, Chrystia. Hello, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. First and foremost, I too would want to take an opportunity to thank everyone at Charles Hastings, not just for hosting us today, but for truly showing us your beautiful, diverse, vibrant, inclusive community that this place is. And I do want to also say thank you to both Ellen and Christine and Lloyd, for welcoming us to your beautiful home and for truly showing us your award-winning garden, which I'm very impressed and I'm quite jealous, I must add. And thank you, Chrystia, for sharing that very, very exciting news. We know this critical investment will ensure that Canadians can access secure, affordable, accessible, and community-oriented homes from decades to come. I know this is going to make a huge difference in the lives of so many right here in Toronto and right across the country. Because, as Chrystia was talking about, when you talk about a home is more than just a roof over our heads. It is a foundation we need to truly have a healthy and a happy life. It is where we raise our families. It is where we plan for the future. And the reality is, for decades, Canadian cities like Toronto have been growing faster than their housing supply, which is creating an increasing demand for housing of all types and an unaffordable home prices for Canadians. And we know that's just not fair. And that's why, as has been mentioned by Minister Freeland, who announced, in April and released our federal budget. And this budget contains hundreds of programs and policies that are all truly aimed at one thing. That is about making life fairer for all generations of Canadians. And when you talk about fairness to me is a promise that fundamentally defines our country. The promise of fairness, the promise of Canada, is that everyone should be able to have that chance to build a good middle-class life and to do so well, not just as well as your parents, but better. And in this particular budget that Chrystia put forward, we set out a comprehensive plan to make life fairer for all generations of Canadians, particularly younger Canadians. And the $1.5 billion that Minister Freeland just announced today is the single largest investment to build new co-op housing in 30 years. We know this is a game changer, and this is how, as Chrystia has said, builds on the plan that we have put forward to make sure that we're building more homes faster. And I know Minister Freeland touched on key components of that plan, but it really is about things like investing and making sure things like the Housing Accelerator Fund, which has already unlocked 750,000 homes right across this country, more than 53,000 units right here in the city of Toronto. It's about making sure we're finding new and innovative housing solutions like the modular homes. It's around, making sure we're building more purposeful builds for communities right across this country. It's about also making sure that we're building that infrastructure that is needed, to make homes into communities that we rightfully need. But we still know when it comes to making life fairer and more affordable, there isn't just one solution. That is why in Budget 2024, we've also introducing a number of policies that are helping Canadians right now. When you talk about building more, $10 a day childcare spaces, saving families right here in Ontario, an average family in Ontario is already saving more than $8,000 per year per child. It's about moving forward on our first phase of our pharmacare program, making sure that we're providing contraceptives and diabetes medication free to Canadians who need it. It's around creating a national school food program that is going to help more than 400,000 kids ensure that they get that access to food before they go to school. It's also about ensuring that we have, and Canadians have, access to dental care through our Canada Dental Care Program, which, as we know right now, since its release, just in 1 month, more than 150,000 seniors have already accessed. So that's what it's about. You know, when you talk about making sure how do we make life more fair for Canadians, it's about investing in Canadians. And you know, as a government, we will always be there to support Canadians, even while other politicians have promised to cut investments that we're making, including investments like the co-op that we have just put forward. We're doubling down. Because let us be clear, we will never back down when it comes to supporting Canadians, because we know when we invest in Canadians, we're building stronger communities and a fairer country for not just for now, but for generations to come. So thank you, merci. Once again, I want to take an opportunity to thank everyone here at this beautiful community for welcoming us and really truly showing us what a community really is about. Thank you, merci. And now I want to pass it over to Amina. Thanks.
Minister Freeland, Minister Khera, thank you for your remarks. Very exciting today. The Cooperative Housing Development Program is the first dedicated federal investment in construction of new housing co-ops in over 30 years. Cooperative housing is a well-documented story, as we all saw today. For over 50 years, co-ops like Charles Hastings have provided good quality, affordable housing owned and managed by the members who live here. Beyond housing, co-ops nurture strong communities, offering members a sense of belonging and mutual support that goes beyond other housing models. As we know, cities across Canada face serious housing challenges. Cooperative housing will play a part in tackling the housing situation facing Canada today, and this new program will help see more co-op homes built. When Canada faced housing challenges decades earlier in the 70s and 80s, federal investment in cooperative housing was part of the response that saw us through that difficult time. The cooperative housing sector is ready to build, and we can't wait to get started. Thank you again, Minister Freeland and Minister Khera, and the federal government for investing in cooperative housing, and thank you especially to the members of Charles Hastings for hosting us today, and I'd like to pass it over to Catherine to open it up for media availability. Thank you.
All right, and also the Q&A portion of today's event. It's one question, one follow-up, but just state your name and your outlet. Is everyone here for journalists interested? Passons maintenant vers les questions. C'est une question en suivi. Notez votre nom et votre média. Il y a un micro juste là. Merci.
Good afternoon, Freeland, Minister Freeland. I'm Tess Ha from CBC News. Do you expect to table legislation on the capital gains increase before the House rises?
Thanks for the question. Yes, we are intending to begin the legislative process before the House rises.
Would you be able to say it in French as well? Thank you.
Oui, bien sûr. Oui, on a l'intention de commencer le processus législatif avant la fin de cette session.
The follow-up would be that, do you believe that the MPs who collaborated with the foreign powers should be excluded from the nomination process for the next election?
The Minister of Public Safety has been at committee today and answered questions extensively on the report. Our government takes foreign interference very seriously, and law enforcement is working hard on this issue as well.
Next question. Prochaine question. Okay, that concludes today's press conference.
Thanks everyone for being here.